Thanks, Jen.
Secretary Yellen just said before he came to the podium that the Treasury Department will need to take extraordinary measures if the debt limit isn't raised by August, and she indicated those could run out shortly after lawmakers return, possibly as soon as October. So, does the White House, are you guys setting a deadline before recess? Do you want to see that debt limit raised, and what is the White House doing to urge lawmakers to address the debt limit?
This is like the Olympics for Bloomberg these days. So I would say, and Reuters, sorry, and other financial outlets in the room. Let me give you just a little bit of context for those of you who have not seen the letter that just went from Secretary Yellen to the Hill. So this is a letter that's standard practice for Treasury secretaries when a debt limit is going to be reimposed, which there's a timeline coming up at the end of this month. That is different. I'm not saying you're suggesting this. That is different from defaulting, which has never happened in the history of the United States and would clearly be a catastrophic event. But it is a timeline for the debt limit to be raised or extended. So during the previous two administrations, the Treasury Secretary sent nearly 50 letters to the Hill on the debt limit, some of which were very similar in wording and asks and updates to this letter. And raising or suspending the debt limit does not authorize new spending commitments. It simply enables the government to pay for obligations that Congresses and presidents of both parties have already approved. And Congress, finally, last piece of history, has raised or suspended the debt limit approximately 80 times, which has happened under both Republican and Democratic presidents. I will say, just for historical fact, more often under Republican presidents. But it has happened under both, and it has been supported in a bipartisan way. So we expect Congress to act promptly to raise or suspend the debt limit and protect the full faith and credit of the United States. Now, it is not, I give you all of that context because it is not out of the ordinary, even though they're called extraordinary measures, for Treasury secretaries to present to Capitol Hill steps that they are going to take, even as this is being litigated on Capitol Hill. That was what this update was to provide. In that letter, she also noted that the period of time that extraordinary measures may last is subject to considerable uncertainty due to a variety of factors, which are exacerbated this year by uncertainty related to the pandemic and calculations about inflows and outflows. So the October timeline that she was referenced in there, or the October 1st date, I should say, was referenced, was because there's a very large reduction in the cash balance on October 1st, or we're projecting that, due to outflows on that day to meet our obligations to the Department of Defense. So she was giving a sense of what the timeline looks like, while also conveying that we can't give a sense at this point on the length of time for extraordinary measures. We certainly expect Congress to act in a bipartisan manner, as they did 3 times under the prior administration, to raise the debt limit.
Given that uncertainty, is the White House communicating to congressional leaders that you would like to see this debt limit extended before they recess for August?
I'm not here to set a new deadline. I'm conveying to you the history and conveying to you that we think it's clear Congress should act in a bipartisan manner to raise the debt limit as they have in the past.